To the computer, of course, we'll already have our scanned file. We'll click on Photoshop and it'll open. Right. Of course, I have version 2020, sort of just locked in there. Didn't really want to keep paying for it, but let's see. In my case, I'm going to open my original file, and essentially all I need to do is make a negative of it. So I'm not really asking for too much, but definitely asking for us to get introduced to the program, right? So of course we need to find my file. In my case, it's literally was called whatever 35. So let's go ahead and open it. And right off the bat, you know, I got a little bit of a crooked scan. Not the end of the world, right? At least for what we're doing. But hopefully you can kind of notice it's a bit fuzzy in the white areas, right? There's kind of a little bit of wobbly of the paper. You know, there's some bits of anomalies that we can fix right before we get it printed. I may also even have it in the wrong orientation, right? So first thing that I can do is hit C as in cat, right? And I can use my crop tool. It's also located on the side right here. And if you hover over it, of course, you know, it even has like a little image now. But it's our crop tool. So essentially I want to click on the outside and get it relatively straight. And of course in the right orientation. So in my case, I'm going to use those grid lines to get it as straight as possible. Hopefully my drawing is correct in the first place. Okay. You also notice it brings up a little text saying 3026 pixels. Now I don't want pixels, so I'm going to get it as close as possible, hit enter, and I'm going to do Command R if I'm in Mac, or Control R to bring up my ruler. Once that ruler is brought up, I can right click and select inches. No idea what a pica is, but it sounds pretty cool. This is also where I can verify that my drawing is 10 inches by 10 inches. Another way that I can do that is to go to edit. Nope, it is an image. Image size or canvas size. In our case, image size is going to be more correct. And I don't want 10.37 inches, I want exactly 10 inches, right? It's also going to try and rescale it for me, so I'm going to unclick this little link, right? I'm going to change that to 10 and 10, right? Because I want a truly 10 by 10 document. There it is. Now, you shouldn't be seeing much change, right? We were relatively close, right? But now, it seems like my image is sort of kind of stuck inside there, or at least a little bit off, maybe at the top and a little bit off at the side, if that is supposed to be at the edge, right? Now, of course, you know your drawings better than I do at this point, so you should definitely recognize what's off and what's correct. But if we look at our layers, we'll notice that it by default locks as a background layer. So first thing I can do is uncheck that box. And now I'm able to manipulate this image. So I can do Control T as in tango, right? And I can manipulate this image even further. If I hold Shift, it's going to keep it proportional, which is also very useful. Now I want to get it as close as possible, so I'm just going to imagine for, you know, the sake of tutorial that's correct. I could also still rotate it, you know, if something was off. Right? I can even use my arrows on my keyboard to really fine-tune and adjust it. That's looking pretty darn good, right? Already looks better than our scan, and of course that pops up. Get out of here. But that's looking pretty good. We can make it look even better, and actually, it's probably a good thing that I'm going to record it and put on my YouTube. That way, you know, if you ever have any questions, you're not hitting me up at 2 in the morning. You can watch this video, right? But a couple of things we can do to make this look even better. The first one is levels, which is Command L, or if you go to Image, Adjustments, and really it's all these tools right here that I'm even referencing. So one of the first ones is Brightness and Contrast. It's definitely a great tool to have, right? I can definitely nearly even change my line weights, dare I say, right? But I want to find a happy medium, right? Something that doesn't get rid of too much, but also doesn't change the entire composition, right? So maybe a little bit of brightness. I'm actually going to pull back my contrast a little bit, right? And you can kind of see which each one does. Maybe not so much in a projector, but see how less contrast for some reason brings that gray out a little bit better? Whereas too much contrast makes it too dark, right? Next thing I could do is my favorite tool, which is curves. So again, image, adjustments, curves is that third one. And the way this one works is it basically has 3 eyedropper tools. I'm not going to lie to you, I still to this day, after 15 years of working in this program, have no idea what the middle one does. That's okay. All we need is the white eyedropper tool and the black eyedropper tool. So in my case, if I click on that and I click on the darkest element of my drawing, it's going to help it out a little bit. It's going to make it a little bit more refined. If I click on the white and I click on the white, right, it's going to brighten it up a little bit, make that space a little bit more defined, right, to say the least. That is the curves. Yes. As in the curve of a tire, right? And that's found in an image, adjustments, curves. But again, this video is recorded too to kind of help you guys out. But yeah, you know, the darks are already looking nice, dark. Question real quick, Isaac, were these two supposed to be the same shade?
The same shade?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Because I would say that they look pretty darn close, right? We can still see our lines. You know, we can zoom in using Command +, really get in there. Some of the anomaly stuff, like, ooh, look at that, that's gross. Some of that stuff I would actually keep because it makes it more human, right? However, I could use E as an elephant or echo. Could right click, change the size, and get rid of some of this stuff. Now, an error might pop up going, hey, whoa, this is just a scanned image. I don't know how to work with it yet. But good thing we scanned it in a 24-bit document setup, right? I'll press OK. I basically just need to right click on my layer and convert to a smart object. And that's fine, pretty easy. I'll try again. It may give me another error and go, wait a minute, it's not rasterized. That's cool, right? We'll press OK. Now I can get rid of things. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want this section of like nothing in there. So in fact, I'll brush white onto it. So I'll use the letter B as in boy, right? And I'll actually paint white on there. So I can of course click on these two little swatches. If I double click on one, it's going to give me that color and it's going to brush in the color that I want. Now maybe I want it to be the exact same color as something. So I can even use the eyedropper tool that automatically comes out and click on it and it's going to find the exact white that I clicked on. Really helpful. Because now I can use B for brush, right? Obviously don't need that big of a brush. And I can make it a lot harder, right? And of course get rid of things. Now was it at the exact color? Not quite, right? So let's try something else. All right, let's choose our eyedropper tool. Get that, brush it again. Much better, right? If I wanted to fix it, I could. But I do want it to be somewhat human. And what I mean by that is to have error is to somewhat be beautiful sometimes. I don't know, maybe just one man's opinion. But again, we can fix things, right? Ooh. We can really clean this up. I would dare say you can even remove your name and put it digitally, right? But now we have something quite refined. That's great, but I need a negative of what I just did. Awesome. Well, that's pretty simple. I go to Image, Adjustments, and another way to say negative is to invert it, right? You can also use Command I. But once we do that, this is of course the image we get, right? But what's nice is since we did all that fixing to the original, I can both print the original and the negative, right? Now I can just use my original too, or if you're really good at this, guys, and you liked your sort of cleaned up one a little bit better, print that one out too. The only ones that don't need to be printed are those two overlays you did, right? So obviously you don't have to scan those or put them in Photoshop even. So obviously you don't have to print those. But you do have some options here, right? We could even further use curves, or we could further edit this even. We can go to Image, Brightness and Contrast, so on and so forth. But as you can see, it's quite easy to sort of mess up what you were doing. So I'll keep it the way it is, and I'll file save as my negative shot. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on my document and call it the negative. Oh, I'm accidentally saving it as a Photoshop file. I don't need to do that. I need to save it actually as either a PDF or a JPEG. So I'll hit save as again. I'll go to JPEG, not JPEG 2000, because who knows what that is, but regular JPEG, right? We'll go ahead and save it. Yes, replace it. I'll do it at the highest quality, press OK. I might want both, so I'll go ahead and invert it again and save that one too. File save as a JPEG, and we'll call it not negative, or what have you. Awesome. And now I can open up those two files separately. Right? I could save this as a Photoshop file, however, I don't really need to in this very scenario. But let's go ahead and check them out. So we have our not negative and our original. Or sorry, negative. Oh, there's the original. So yeah, let's take a look at that actually. I don't know about you, but which one looks better, guys? Sorry, you might not be able to see all of it on the screen. I don't know. One's a little cleaner and straighter than the other. Right? However, it hasn't lost some of the wonderful qualities that we get out of our analog drawing. This is really important. I don't want to see anybody sort of redo it or draw anything. Right? We're really just tweaking it a little bit, maybe getting rid of a copy stain or two, right? But overall, pretty powerful, right? Especially for something we could have done in 2 minutes if I wasn't talking so much, right? Let's take a look at the negative one. Did I even get the negative? There it is. Pretty awesome, right? In many instances, this one should look close to one of your overlays, right? Just like this one should look pretty similar to one of those overlays as well. But for Friday, I would like to see all four, right? So even if you didn't finish assignment 4, you have an extra day to complete it, right? If you feel like what you saw in the room, that yours didn't kind of match that same quality, like, oh, wait a minute, I don't think I did it right. You still have the opportunity to change it between now and Friday, right? But what I would like for Friday is to, of course, pin these up for the hall, right? How many of you guys have a printer at home that can print an 8x8, right? In our case, most people don't have a 10x10, right? How many of you guys can print 11x17 at home? Anybody? Usually that's a little bit more rare. And the reason I say that is, well, you can have it printed anywhere. It's not a requirement that you print it here. And the reason I say that is because, I'm not gonna lie to you, this school has an infamous record of when I need to print, these printers don't seem to work, right? So 3 places that you can go to rather than here. The first one is called ARC on Broadway. If you tell them you're a SAC student, very often they'll give it to you for free, especially if you're just printing one thing. So keep that in mind. Right, we can print this on 11x17 to scale. How do I print it to scale? Well, I already told you it comes from Photoshop and the scanner at scale, right? So if I print it at 100%, it'll be to scale. First place is ARC. Second place is Lone Star Graphics. They probably won't give it to you for free, but it won't be more than 20 cents. So that's kind of nice. The last place, and I don't really recommend it, is like Office Depot or